Namo Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prestaya Bhutale Namo
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam's 4th canto, chapter 26. King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt. Text 17. 26, 17. Rama Uchu,
Rama Uchu,
Naranata,
Naranata,
Natyananima,
Natyananima,
Svatpriya,
Svatpriya,
Yavyashati,
Yavasati,
Bhutale,
Bhutale,
Niravastare,
Niravastare,
Sayanam,
Sayanam,
Asha, Shatruhan,
Satruhan,
Rama Uchu,
Rama Uchu,
Naranata Najani janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Shayanam bhashya satruhan.
Shayanam pashatruhan.
Shayanam bhashya satruhan.
Shayanam pashatruhan.
Rama uchu.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Shayanam bhashya shatruhan.
Shayanam pashatruhan.
Rama uchu.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Sayanam pashyat shatruhan.
Shayanam pashatruhan. Rama uchu.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Shayanam pashatruhan.
Sayanam pashyatruhan.
Rama ucha.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya devasyate.
Svatpriyaya vyavyashyati.
Bhutale nirvastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Sayanam pasya shatruhan.
Sayanam pashyatruhan.
Rama uchu.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas.
Naranatha janimas.
Svatpriyaya vyavyasati.
Svatpriyaya
vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Bhutale niravastare.
Shayanam bhashya shatruhan.
Sayanam pashyatruhan.
Rama uchu.
Naranatha janimas. Svatpriyaya
Vyavyashyati.
Bhutale niravastare.
Sayanam
pashatruhan.
Rama uchu.
Rama uchu.
The women thus spoke.
The women thus spoke.
Naranatha.
Naranatha.
O king.
O king.
Nadyanima.
Nadyanima.
We do not know.
We do not know.
Svatpriya.
Svatpriya.
Your beloved.
Your beloved.
Yat Yavyashyati.
Yadvyavyasati.
Why she has taken to this sort of life.
Why she has taken this sort of life.
Bhutale.
Bhutale.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Niravastare.
Niravastare.
Without bedding.
Without bedding.
Shayanam.
Shayanam.
Lying down.
Lying down.
Pasha.
Pasha.
Look.
Look.
Shatruhan.
Satruhan.
O killer of enemies.
O killer of enemies.
Translation. All the women addressed the king. O master of the citizens, we do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of enemies, kindly look. She is lying on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she is acting this way. Purport. When a person is devoid of devotional service or Vishnu Bhakti, he takes to many sinful activities. King Puranjana left home, neglected his own wife and engaged himself in killing animals. This is the position of all materialistic men. They do not care for a married, chaste wife. they take the wife only as an instrument for sense enjoyment, not as a means for devotional service. To have unrestricted sex life, the Karamis work very hard. They have concluded that the best course is to have sex with any woman and simply pay the price for her, as though she were a mercantile commodity. Thus they engage their energy in working very hard for such material acquisitions. Such materialistic people have lost their good intelligence. They must search out their intelligence within the heart. A person who does not have a chaste wife accepted by religious principles always has a bewildered intelligence. The wife of King Puranjana was lying on the ground because she was neglected by her husband. Actually, the woman must always be protected by her husband. We always speak of the goddess of fortune as being placed on the chest of Narayan. In other words, a wife must remain embraced by her husband. Thus she becomes beloved and well protected. Just as one saves his money and places it under his own personal protection, one should simply protect his wife by his own personal supervision. Just as intelligence is always within the heart, so a beloved, chaste wife should always have her place in the chest of a good husband. This is the proper relationship between husband and wife. The wife is therefore called Ardangani, or half of the body. One cannot remain with only one leg, one hand, or only one side of the body. He must have two sides. Similarly, according to nature's way, husband and wife should live together. In the lower species of life, among birds and animals, it is seen that by nature's arrangement the husband and wife live together. It is similarly ideal in human life for the husband and wife to live together. The home should be a place for devotional service, and the wife should be chaste and accepted by ritualistic ceremony. In this way one can become happy at home. Rama Uchu Narayanatana Masta Priya Yavyasati Bhutale Niravastare Shayanam Pashu Satruhan. All the women addressed the king. O master of the citizens, we do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of enemies, kindly look. She's lying on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she's acting this way. Om Madhyanatimranda Shah Gyanandana Shalakya Chaksunlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaiti Kirim Yat Kripa Taraham Vandi Shigurum Yatarinam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutare Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hasya Chadeshataine Vanja Kalvatarupyascha Kritasundayyacha Patitanam Devyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are in the analogy of this beautiful narration of Puranjana, and Puranjana has come back from illegally being hunting in the forest. It's been described he was out performing many sinful activities, hunting animals, completely against the consents and desires of his wife. He just did it. And now he comes back, and after refreshing himself, it's described taking a bath, taking some prasad, food. And it's clear if it's prasad as food. Now he expects to go and enjoy with his wife. But now, to his great surprise, we'll see his great shock, and he'll be completely bewildered. She's not favorable towards him. Actually, he'll find her in a condition that he has never seen her before. She is completely neglecting herself. Normally, in proper marriage, Vedic marriage, the wife is always nicely dressed when the husband is around. She's nicely dressed and in a pleasant mood and creates a pleasant atmosphere, and everything's kind of pleasant and light and so on. And so you see here, when the wife is dissatisfied with her husband, then she'll also neglect that. And this is what Paranjan will find his wife here. She's just laying on the ground, even, and of course she's completely crushed, and she doesn't care about him at all. And so that is the situation we have here. And as you will see here from the purport of the Prabhupada, this story here has many, many levels of understanding. On one level, there's a direct, literal meaning that a husband should take proper care of his wife. That is, that's a very clear instruction. Prabhupada gets into that in the purport. One is married not just to have a machine for sense gratification. That is generally as it is seen in the material world, and that is what we as conditioned souls. This is the mentality that we are dragging with us. It is described, one famous word in Bhagavad Gita. 7.5. Apart Yam Prakriti Me Param Jiva Bhuta Mahava Yadedam Dharate Jakas. Very basic verse. After describing the material elements, Bhumi, Apano, Vayu, and so on, then Krishna describes it as a second energy, which is Prakriti Param, the higher energy. There's a living entity, that's us. And we are here in this world exploiting the resources of material energy. This is a proper translation. And actually, in the old translation, the first translation of the Bhagavad Gita, it was said that the living entities are sustaining and maintaining the universe, but that's not correct. They're not maintaining. The universe is maintained by Krishna. But we here exploiting. We have this, we want to utilize the material energy for our own sense gratification, and that's a basic mentality, basic desire, basic mentality of all conditioned souls. So that's also translates into when one marries a woman, one will tend to see her simply as a machine for satisfying my desires, and of course, it's striking when Prabhupada writes it like that. It's completely abominable. Prabhupada makes it very, it's in the material world. It will be wrapped in someone who sound nice, and somewhat romantic or free. There's freedom and so on. But actually, that's all that's going on. Men are simply using women as machines for the sense gratification, and women are also using men as just someone who can supply them with their whatever they need. Materialists, they will try to wrap it in nice sounding words and rationalize and say it's even normal, it's natural, and so on. But it's not even animal life. The humans today, the way, if you use this example, the men are using the women, it's not even animal life. They think it's animal life, but animals are not that bad. Here, I was actually just a couple of days ago, I read a quote by Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger. And he was, he's a fresh young man, 67 years old. So he has, he has great hopes for all the world. So there was he was been interviewed, and he was being kind of honest. He said, I don't think, like, you know, being faithful and like that is something for me. And he was describing he has a couple of girlfriends, but none of them are really steady. He, goes out with this and goes out with that. In one sense, it's probably not just for me, and anyway, it's not natural. You have to see also we have, human beings, we like animals. We have like the animal nature, and animals, they also just have loose relationships, and like it's normal. We just follow our natural urges. He was the same like that. Prabhupada pointed out that's not true. Animals are not like that. Animals are faithful, actually. Most animals actually, when they live under normal, natural conditions, actually they stick together. Husband, wife, or male, female. You see the birds like that. They actually stick together. That's normal. That's natural. What human beings are doing is not natural. It's the life of pigs. Maybe pigs are natural also. They're very, very low class. The thing is, of course, one point if you want to create philosophies, you can always somehow or another create a philosophy, and you can. And it's a common thing that you can justify anything by pointing it to nature, saying but animals do that, and therefore, since we animals, we can do it. You'll find that homosexuals, they'll point that animals are also doing it. I don't know if it's true, but they can find examples of that. But then you can find anything. Animals, they eat and kill each other. That's also natural. So we can just kill each other because animals are doing it. You can actually rationalize anything by finding examples from animal species doing it. And it ultimately boils down to that you don't have any real standards. There's no morals, or dharma is not established by looking to the animal species and then saying they're doing it, we animals, we can also do it. Dharma is established by Krishna's law. It's Krishna's word, Dharma tu saksha bhagavat pravisam. What Krishna says, this is Dharma, this is what is right, not what animals are doing. And actually, when it comes down to it, it's the only basis for having a standard for what is Dharma, what is actually right and wrong. It's directly the orders of the Supreme Law, nothing else. And without that, actually there is no Dharma. Everything becomes relative, and you can justify anything, and they do it. But the point is, animals are not even that bad. Animals are faithful to each other in most species. In 99% of the species, they are faithful to each other. And also, they take the whole package. They don't. Okay, there's some urge for sense gratification, for sex life, and then there are children, and they take care of the children. Animals take care of the children, and they don't kill the children in the wombs as human beings are doing. Or by all means, try to avoid having children or young ones. I mean, if you want to be natural, then you have to be, you have to take the whole package, isn't it? I mean, you'll find that people, they will justify saying that, having loose relationships, having sex life with anyone, that's natural, but it's also natural to have children if you want to be natural. Anyhow, when Prabhupada writes it here, it's very clear, and one even feels somewhat embarrassed when I look at myself, because that's actually a mentality that, as I say, we have as conditioned souls, and especially if we were raised in this Western culture, influenced by this Western culture, actually we are simply seeing others as, other bodies as instruments for our sense gratification, and if we cannot satisfy, we don't care about others. Actually, completely, speaking for myself, completely indifferent, cold to others. Don't care about us. We're dealing with other people. That women are people, of course, men are also people, persons. Who are. We just see them as something I can utilize for my sense gratification. So Prabhupada points out here, and he gives, of course, very nice, clear instructions, and the actual proper relationship is that we're not meant to. It's completely improper to utilize others, other people. People also include animals, and use anything for our sense gratification, simply as a means for our own satisfaction. It is perverted. It's demoniac. It's actually quite abominable. Prabhupada points out, and that's of course very striking, that if we are devoid of devotional service of Vishnu Bhakti, then we will take to these sinful activities. That's in one sense, you might say, the problem that we have, that we condition souls, so we condition to exploiting others for our own sense gratification. And but even if we discover that this is wrong, it is actually not possible for us to avoid it or transcend it unless we replace our activities with devotional service. One can, and of course there are different degrees of exploitative mentality amongst conditioned souls. There are those who are in the mode of goodness, those who are in the mode of passion, and those who are in the mode of ignorance. So in the mode of goodness, the exploitation of material nature, exploitation of others, is very fine and civilized and refined and gentle, and it's, there's a lot of course, ethics and morality. There are a lot of higher principles, but still the underlying current is that it's a best way to kind of exploit material nature. So it's the mood is that this is how we actually enjoy in the material world, but it's very refined. And others are conditioned by modes of passion, modes of ignorance, and then it becomes very, we have these very gross exploitation as we see in this, particularly in this Western culture. So, when we compare, it's such a stark difference. I'm surprised that Indians with such a fantastic culture, they can think there's anything attractive about the Western culture. Except that, okay, they have the technology and they have all these gizmos and gadgets and so on. But what's that, compared to refined dealings amongst people and so on? But still, of course, it is, and that's also why, it's many are trapped, because it's not, even this, refined material life is not completely satisfying. It's not completely satisfying. It's still, it's still exploitative, but it's, of course, a much higher mode. And it is possible to, by determination and so on, principle, to kind of elevate beyond, out of the lower material modes and get to a little higher mode. By training and education and so on. But it's very, 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 very difficult. And in one sense, it's practically impossible. Our conditioned nature is so deep with us, so if we do not have actual devotional service to replace our conditioned activities with, we will generally fall down to our conditioned nature. So then one can sometimes see that someone was engaged nicely in devotional service, but somehow or another falls from that, and they're back where they were, and probably say they even go lower. So then it depends on what situation one comes from. Us who have this Western background, the gap is very, it's a very stark contrast. Others, like I know what Sri Prabhupada said about Bhakti Charu Swami. If you know Bhakti Charu Swami. I think Prabhupada said about him that if he ever falls down from devotional service, he will fall down to the mode of goodness. He's come from such a refined background, such a cultured background. So if he would ever fall down, which I don't expect that he will. But I think Prabhupada said that if he ever should happen to fall down from devotion, he'll fall to the mode of goodness. For others, we will fall down to a much lower level than we will fall down to where we were before. We just become like we were before. And that's in the main, really important. That's one, deeper point here. That if we do not engage in devotional service, then we will fall down to all these abominable activities, exploiting others for our own sense gratification. Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Durena Sharam Karma Buddhi Yoga Janandana Buddha Sharanam Anvija Kripana Pala Hetama, that one should keep all abominable activities distant by devotional service. And so it is Durena Sharam Karma. That means, must be the word Durena must refer to. Generally, Dur means bad, just like Duryodhana. There's this syllable Dur. And of course one can wonder, why did Dhritarashtra give him that name? Of course he must have been inspired by, I don't know, it's not a name you would normally give someone with the syllable Dur. He was very bad, Duryodhana. And similar Durena Karma means abominable activities, bad activities. Once you keep abominable activities distant by always engaging in devotional service, every moment, once you consciously engage in devotional service, if one does not, one will engage in a Durena Karma, a bad activity. That's actually, it's a great art of work. It takes, and of course, the practice we're trying to build up. It takes practice. We have a habit of conditioned nature basically means habit. We have to change that habit. And the habit of conditioned nature is changed by us engaging in one devotional activity at every moment. We get into that habit every time we choose an activity, and we actually choose an activities at every moment. We have to learn to choose a devotional activity at every moment. And of course, it's not stagnant. There are so many devotional activities: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, and so on. There are 9 activities, at least at our level, 7 devotional activities that we can engage in at every moment. And we should consciously, every moment, engage in a devotional activity. Constantly. And this way we can keep the, abominable, exploitative activities distant. But if we do not, then we will fall down into what's actually, in the second part of this word, Buddha Shana, Anvija, Kripana, Palahetava, Kripana, Palahetava. Palahetava means that you want to enjoy the pala, the fruit of your work. And that's actually the exploitative mentality. You want to enjoy as an activity, you want to enjoy the fruit of that activity. This is for Kripanas. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Kripanas means miserless. They want to enjoy the fruit of the activity. That mentality should be given up. We should engage in devotional service. Simply is a proper translate with that consciousness. Conscious and understand that actually I'm I've been exploiting, and I have a tendency to exploit others. So I have to keep that, keep that tendency down. Simply at every moment perform devotional service, and that's why I'm performing devotional service. And that's at least one, of course we perform devotional service to please Krishna, but also our level we can say that, I have to perform devotional service, because if not, then I will engage in the abominable activities. It's like, if you want to have a picture that someone gave that with a Kaliya serpent. Krishna was dancing on the head of the Kaliya serpent, and it was an amazing dance. Kaliya serpent had, was it 100 heads, or was it innumerable heads? 100 heads. So Krishna was dancing on the, on the heads of this serpent. And of course, I don't know if you know how fast serpents are. They come up and then they move so fast you cannot even see it, and try to strike. So Krishna, Kaliya was trying to bite Krishna with his 100 heads, but Krishna was faster every time, So one head came, immediately there was a foot. Another head came, another foot, Krishna's foot, like that. Just faster. Krishna was there. Kaliya didn't have, he became exhausted. He tried, Then another head, here immediately the foot was there. And it just kept him down. So I heard a lecture, someone saying, this is actually how we have to keep our, tendency for material activities down. As soon as they are, they are there, devotional service. Immediately. And that's what should be on the level of the body. Body should be engaged in. Should be on the level of the mind, on the level of our words. There are three levels of, three platforms of austerity. We have to perform austerities with the body, and with our mind, and with our words. Because that's actually where we are active on these three levels. So we should engage the body in devotional activities all the time. And our mind also, that's even more important. They should be engaged in. What does it say? We should. Bhagavad Gita gives the definition of the austerities of the mind and the body and the words. And what is it for the mind should be satisfied, first of all. Mauna prasadam saumyatam. Maunam atma vinigraha. So the mind should learn to be satisfied. Mind is always dissatisfied, restless. We should simply learn to be satisfied in the mind. And mana prasadam saumyatam.
Bhava samsari ititat mana prasadam. Bhava samsari
The mind should be, satisfied. It should be thinking of the welfare of others, which comes back to, as soon as we think of exploiting others, for example, like the husband wants to exploit the wife, actually, before he even thinks that, he should think about the benefit of the wife. Or when you want to exploit others, that's always tendency we see on. As soon as associate with others, we kind of have the idea to exploit them. Well, the austerity is actually, before that exploitative thought comes up, once you think of how can we benefit that person. This is actually, in one sense, that's devotional service in practice, in practical life. devotional service means acting for the satisfaction of Krishna, acting so what is pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna is manifesting himself as all divinities. This is how he is manifesting himself in front of us. How do we serve them? We act for their benefit. Of course, it depends. It depends on the relationship. We do not act for the benefit of all divinities, those who are our superiors. We do not act for their benefit in one sense. Of course, we do not exploit them, but we pay obeisances, we ask for their mercy, we show our complete respect for them. We feel joyful that there is someone who is superior to me. We do not feel envious. That's also how exploitative mentality comes out. When someone is more qualified than ourselves, we feel envy and we try to minimize their position. But so when that thought is there, immediately we should replace that thought with feeling joyful and paying our complete respects and then praying somehow, how can I serve the superior? And also I need mercy. So how can I get these mercies? That should be how one thinks. So I mean this principle of being merciful to others is not. It doesn't go. There's also those who are equals. We create friendship amongst equals. But one should learn to, instead of having the exploitative mentality, one should immediately replace it with the problem mentality of, for example, if we have the husband with the wife, the tendency is the husband will exploit the wife or see the wife as someone he can utilize, but that should be replaced with that he should respect her and protect her. That is the actual relationship, not exploitation. And that's something that somehow it's often misunderstood that that the husband should be, or the wife should serve the husband, and the husband should, is the lord of the wife. The lord of the wife means basically servant of the wife. It's just like you have, parents are the lords of the children. But does that mean that the children are just running around the whole day serving the parents? No, actually it means the other way. The parents are running around the whole day serving the children. It's all for, all the activities of the parents are for the benefit of the children. But then, the parents, they keep them within certain, limits and so on for their benefit, but it's all for the benefit of the children. So similarly, if the husband is the lord of the wife, or master of the wife, that means, he's all the time, trying to arrange things for a benefit. Not that he has to sit down and now you should serve me. That's actually not this is not the proper relationship. This is exploitation mentality. The proper mentality is that wife is in a weaker position, so therefore, she has to be, she has to be helped and assisted to overcome her weakness. That's a reactive relationship. And that's a devotion, that's a devotional service that expresses there when, in that situation. One doesn't exploit, one protects. And that's, as again I said here, that if one doesn't engage in devotional service, one will engage in formal activities. We have to learn the art of replacing our, every moment engage in devotional service. Otherwise, we will engage in activities which afterwards we will regret. Just like Puranjana will regret. And his wife will also help him to regret. and the wife is a good intelligence. The intelligence will make, if you have some intelligence left after having performed abominable activities, the intelligence will tell you did wrong, and you will feel very. If one can feel remorseful and very bad, then there's still some hope. There's still some hope. One should. These Puranjans are complete lost. His intelligence will make him feel really miserable, really bad. So, okay, we should stop here. Any questions? Any comments?
I have a comment. And it's Prabhupada here has a lot of emphasis in the purport on the protection from the woman to the man. There's a lot of protection there, especially in the last part of the purport, how the woman is protecting the husband.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. And also you mentioned with the children, and the same is there with guru disciple. The point is that most relationships, or practically all relationships, is built on protection and education. Whereas we see in the material world now that it's built on, as the purpose emphasizes, exploitation. And that's where everything goes wrong. So it's just interesting, I think, that it's both, I don't know if it's interesting, but it goes both ways.
Yeah. Probably it's not particularly that the wife is protecting the husband right here, as far as I can see. But anyway, but she definitely does protect by giving him good intelligence when he himself becomes bewildered. I mean that's therefore the wife is called Dharma Patni. She is a religious wife. And the husband is called the Guru Pati. He is the spiritual guide. But she is a religious wife, and that means actually proper trained woman, she will not deviate from religious principles. So when the husband he will deviate, she will keep him in check. But she says he's not religious. This is completely against Dharma, and she will this way she will protect him. That's kind of the standard relationship. They are husband is definitely protected by the wife, because men become bewildered. Men can be, and you know this, that men can both be. I mean, they can be more intelligent than women, and there's given that's been emphasized, they're more intelligent than women. But also, they can also be more stupid than women. Whereas, I mean, this actual psychology that is. I mean, that women cannot be as stupid as men can be. Maybe they cannot, when men are just completely in the analytical frame of mind, they are actually more intelligent than women, because women cannot completely be in just an analytical frame of mind and just analyze without having somehow emotions at the same time. So they cannot see completely clear like that. On the other hand, women do not have the capacity to throw out the intelligence like men can, and just be emotional and sensual. So men can go from one to the other. Men can be completely sensual, emotional, with no intelligence at all. So then when men are like that, then that's why then they need their woman to pull them back and say, now you're completely without intelligence. But say, what are you doing that for? What is it? There's no intelligence there. So women they protect their men like that, and then it goes both ways. You know this. I mean, there's this other side to it. There's, men can. We cannot be so proud that we are so-called more intelligent. That's not. I'm not even sure.
I think the point was this Adangani, she's half the body. So
she's
maybe
half the body.
Yeah, you cannot live with one arm or one leg.
Yeah. So the actual protection says here that the wife is the intelligence, It says here, a person who does not have a chaste wife accepted by religious principles always has a ruined intelligence. Actually, I thought I would taking just this out of context, and then whenever I have brahmacharis, I say, you must have a ruined intelligence, you do not have a proper wife, so you must. Maybe that's taking things out of context. You should have once we married with proper intelligence, and the wife might, and the wife is the proper intelligence for the husband when he becomes bewildered and sees what's there.
And yesterday it was that devotional service is a proper intelligence and devotional service.
Yeah.
So the brahmacharis who were very fixed up, they don't need a wife because they just take shelter into devotional service.
And
they don't need the wife to push them to devotional service.
No, it's a different way of being. Everyone has to be married to devotional service, whether one is this or that. So, but it just the form. It takes different forms how one is married to devotional service in Grihastha ashram, the brahmacharya ashram. In the Bhagavad Gita, how does it go there? That some perform sacrifice by, how is it, offering control,
Sort of mind and the fire of the senses.
Yeah, and others they sacrifice the sense object into the senses. Is that how it is? Yeah. So that refers actually to brahmacharya and grihastha. There's two ways of performing devotions.
I just said it because you were just talking about this analogy.
Yeah.
And then I just referred to the verse yesterday.
Yeah. So everyone has to be married, but it's not a wife or husband who married to be married. So devotional service to religious principles. That's what actually we should be married. So our principles should be something that we completely chaste to our principles. We do not want to there's no question of divorce from our religious principles. That should be and devotional service. Religious principles and devotional service in one sense are synonymous. It's just like the Goswamis, they had their principles were like lines on stone. We have lines on the stone. You cannot wash them off. Dirt you can wash off, but the lines on the stone, they are simply part of this rock. You cannot remove. So that's actually the example. Our fixture on religious principles should be like that. Whether we are this or that, and that will then we actually are, then we are protected against engaging in all the abominable activities we otherwise would engage in. Okay, so stop here. Thank you very much. All goes to Srimad Bhagavatam, all goes to Srila Krishna, Krishna,